You know that we were working a lot on the text features. I'll put this up here. Who can raise their hand and tell me one of the common text features that we've been working on? Yeah, go ahead.
It's called, chronological.
Perfect. And what does that mean?
It means that you go from, first, second, third, 1, 2,
Exactly. What about the another one, Jonah?
compare, contrast.
Yep. And what does that mean?
It's where, so you have, these two things, say, you're reading one of those Who Would Win books, they compare two animals, and they, say some stuff that's different and some stuff that's the same.
Exactly. And then they pick a winner at the end. Yeah, Ivy. Problem solution. So that's similar to, let's get the last one. What's the last one? Yeah?
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect, exactly. And so the problem and solution was one that we had been working on a bit because of the Arabian oryx. Who remembers the story that went along with that? Yeah, Sheree.
Story?
Yeah, there was a little story that went with that animal. It had to do with...
there was only 9 more. They're about to go extinct, and so they started breeding the animals started breeding because people got rid of them now.
Right, now how many are there?
About 6,000.
Yeah, a ton of them. And so that's using the idea of problem and solution can really make that story make a lot of sense. Knowing that they found a problem with something and they found a good solution to stop that problem. So those are our 4 text features. Those are great. Those are what we've been working on for a while now. But today we're going to work on kind of a different kind of story. And they're called hybrid stories. So who, with a raise of a hand, can tell me where you've heard the name or the word hybrid before? Yeah, Nora.
Sometimes certain golf clubs have certain names, and one is called a hybrid.
Yeah, so what does that mean? What can that golf club do that others can't?
It means it's a mixture of one golf club with another golf club.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you can use it for long range and short range, something like that. Yeah, something else. Destin.
Bird hybrid from the show, and they mix a wolf and a vampire together.
Exactly. So, one more, Jonah?
A car.
Yeah, like a Prius.
So
So what does that mean?
Well, sometimes it can mean a car that saves gas, or it could be a car that can be electric and gas.
Right, exactly. So it's a combination of 2 things. So whether it's a car that can be electric and gas, whether it's a golf club that can hit a ball short or far, or a combination of 2 monsters like Destin was talking about. So this idea of hybrid is what we're really going to be working on today. And so we're going to be working on the hybrid of narrative and expository texts. And so I'll kind of get into what those 2 words mean. I'm going to put this up. So we have our next feature. We've been working on this this list, adding things to it as we've been going. So now down here, you can see that I put a new one up there. And it says, to notice if your text is hybrid. And it talks about some lenses, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Yeah, go ahead. So the idea of a hybrid text, the idea of narrative and expository, is that a narrative is like a story. So it's got a plot, a beginning, middle, and end. It's got characters, stuff like that. Whereas expository is just more information. So the nonfiction books that we've been reading a lot, has that been expository or has that been narrative? Has it been facts or has it been stories?
Facts.
Exactly. So it's been a lot of different facts. Like you're reading an expository nonfiction story about volcanoes. It just tells you a bunch of different facts about it. It doesn't necessarily have a story about a particular volcano. However, in this lesson we're going to be talking about stories that do have both. Another word, hybrid. So, I have a cool book here. I'm a big fan of basketball, so I picked a basketball book. I know that some people, Jaden, might be happy about this. So, you could take one of these and pass it around. This has just got one section printed out of the story that I'm going to read. Yeah. show it on here. So before I was saying that you need to look at these kind of stories with a particular lens. And so you can see this picture up here as a picture of two different glasses. And so you need to read narrative stories and expository stories in two different kinds of lenses. If you're reading a narrative, you're reading a story like Harry Potter, and you come upon a section that has a bunch of facts in it, you need to change how you're reading. You need to change to getting a more informational lens so you can understand what they're asking. So I'm going to read a few sections in this book, and you have one section printed out in your hands. And you can follow along with me for this first part. Thank you, book. So this section that I read right here, it's clear that it's a story about his life. It seems like it's kind of talking in a narrative way. So it's like, I'm reading this in the same way that I would read a Harry Potter book or one of the books that's over in this area. But it's like riddled with facts. Who can raise a hand and tell me one of the facts that it stated just in this one little section? Yeah, Nora.
That he's 7 feet tall.
That he's
7 foot 1 inch.
Yeah, that is really, really tall. And that was a fact that was stated right off the bat, right at the beginning. Yeah, Sharif.
That he was by far the youngest player in the NBA.
Exactly. That played to play his position. We'll get one more. Yeah,
He was 325.
he was 325 pounds. He's a big dude. Big, tall guy. So, it's interesting that this book, just right in this little section, right in those first 2 paragraphs, is a clear sign that it's a hybrid book, because it reads like a narrative, but there's a bunch of facts thrown in there. Within all the different categories of books that we have in those bins back there, if you're looking at animals, if you're looking at space, if you're looking at history like this, if you're looking at sports like that Shaq book, you can find hybrid books in nonfiction texts all over. So when I let you guys go, when I let you go back to your desks, back to your tables to work on your own nonfiction books, I'm going to have you, every table has a blue and a green marker and a bunch of sticky notes. And what I want you to do is use an example like this. So if I was going to be using this book, right at that first section, I'm going to, would you mind putting this up on the, so if you want to take a peek up there, so we're going to use blue, a pair of blue glasses like this is going to be the narrative sections. It's going to be the parts that tell a story. So if I were to put this in this book, I'd put it up in this section. So blue narrative, right here. Now green is going to be the other one, the expository. Now where would I put this in this book? Yeah, Sharif.
The digital spots.
Right, so like these kind of sections, the sections that are facts. I could either put it right here, I could put it on this side. The sections that kind of break up the story, break up the narrative into telling you interesting facts about whatever you're reading about. Good question? Okay. So we'll keep that up there to kind of keep your memory jogged so that you can remember what color means what thing. And while you're reading your books, you're going to be putting these sticky notes into different sections. By the end of the day, by the end of this period, I would love to see at least 2 of each. So at least 2 blue glasses and 2 green glasses in your books. I'm going to hand out these 2 pieces of paper that are going to be super helpful. This one just explains what to look for in a narrative, and this one, and this is what to look for in expository, so like a fact text. And then this will remind you what colors go with which section when you're writing your little glasses. Okay? Any questions before I send you that? People are a little tired. It's the end of the day. It's after lunch. I understand. I could use some coffee. All right, if we're ready to go, table 1, 2, and 3 can head on back. Well, so did you start writing some glasses? I saw you writing some on the sticky notes.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got. So what you reading?
hiding to survive.
Bunny book.
Not a bunny book. It's a hiding and surviving book.
Gotcha. So it seems like you put a green sunglass there. What does that mean?
It's telling us facts.
Telling you facts? So where are the facts that you're seeing?
Animals find many ways to adapt and survive.
Mm-hmm. So talking a bit about like camouflage.
Camouflage is a kind of disguise. This is another fact.
Yep, indeed it is. So let's see if you can find a story somewhere on this page, because I know that these are hybrid books.
Mr. Jaden.
Give me 1 second. I'm just finishing this up.
Yeah, I can't find it. That's all facts.
All right. Well, there will be one later on, so I'll come back and see if you got a pair of blue glasses on there somewhere. Here, so we finished that last one. So we're moving on to a new book. Constitution. So look at that picture right up on the front. Those are just a bunch of students looking at the United States Constitution. So we'll open up that first page. We'll start on a section that says, "What is the Constitution?" So if you remember before, what we would do is, since we're in partners, the first person is going to read what's in yellow. The second person is going to read what's in white. We'll switch, and then we'll read it all together. So choose who's going to be doing the white, who's going to be doing the yellow. We'll choose what we're going to start with. You're just going to do the white one, I'll do the yellow. Alright, we're going to write out some phrases, some descriptions of what is the Constitution. You can use some of those words that we use right on the front. Want to share with us what you're writing, is it? You're writing that. Okay, so Isaiah's taking what's written on that multiple choice letter D that we get circled. So he's writing the powers of national and state government. I think that's a great start. Since you finished, since the two of us are done with that one, let's look at here. See if we can find some other important descriptions of what is the Constitution. Remember, you can use kind of those. Isaiah said, "We share powers such as making taxes." Now we'll get two more important lines down about what is the Constitution. We'll fit it. I think that there's plenty of stuff that we could put in here, so two more. What about you, kid? Isaiah, you're on a roll. We got kind of those first two paragraphs going. Let's look at that third paragraph, that last paragraph. What's important? Right, what are those rules called? Right, so let's write that down. And there's one more super important aspect of the Constitution. It says it in that second paragraph, so let's look there. It's explaining that the national government has certain powers. They explain how they can create taxes, how they can help public schools, and there's one other thing. So the national government has certain powers such as forming an army and a navy. So that's a big one. This section we said, which of these is in the Constitution? And we went D, the powers of national and state government. We wrote the powers of national and state government. We wrote share powers such as making taxes. We said these changes are called amendments. And we said that the national government is in charge of forming the army.
This is kind of fun since we wrote about the Navy coming up. This is Navy and taxes.
Fuzzy, nice connection. Nice connection. Alright? That is what the Constitution is all about.